Hi everybody, it's Crys'Dawna. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to go over a blending technique. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna blend paint into a already dried base coat. And I showed this on a live probably last week or earlier this week. And so I did it on this piece and showed it on a live. I also did it on this piece, but I used purples for these colors. So we're gonna do blues with this piece, and I'm gonna show you how we're gonna blend into a base coat. And what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to refinish the top as well. So we'll refinish the top. I'm going to do a base coat of In the Navy, and we're gonna blend some blues into this piece. Hi. Hi, you wanna come say hi? Come here. Oh, this is Cannon. This is Cannon, my puggle. Anyways, so we are going to do some blending with the blues. I'll show you how to put some gold on there. We're gonna do a transfer, all that good stuff. So if you guys are not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell, and you'll get all the latest videos that I put out every single week. Also, everything we use is gonna be in the description below. So in the description below, there'll be links, and you can just click on those links and it'll take you right to the products. Well, are you ready to paint? Are you ready? All right, let's get started. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to sand the top down. So sand this top down, it's oak. And I'm gonna sand it down and refinish it with Dixie Belle's No Paint Gel Stain and Walnut. So we'll refinish the top of this. I'm going to end up sanding this down with my Surf Prep sander first, and then we will stain it with the No Paint Gel Stain and Walnut. I'm also going to seal it with gator hide, so we'll wait a few days because you can seal oil-based stains with a water-based top coat, but you have to make sure that that oil-based stain is thoroughly dry. So generally about 36 to 72 hours depending on your climate and where your piece is drying at. So let's get started, strip this top, restain it, and then we'll do the painting and all that fun. So as you can see, it is raining outside, so thank God for my Surf Prep sander. I had taken my Surf Prep sander outside the other day to strip the other dresser, and I didn't have my hose on there, but we're gonna connect our hose to it today and get our vacuum, and we're gonna sand inside. So that's the beauty of this sander, is I could take it outside and not have the hose, but we're not gonna sand outside in the rain, okay? We're not doing it. Okay, so we'll be using my Surf Prep. We're gonna start with an 80 grit paper. This isn't brand new, I used it on the other one, so I'm gonna use it until it doesn't work anymore. It may actually sand this entire top, we'll see. But I'm gonna start with the 80 grit, and then I will probably smooth it out with a 120 grit. The sander itself is not loud, but the vacuum that's gonna pull the dust is loud. So we're gonna put some nice music on for you while we sand. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to stain this with the No Paint Gel Stain and Walnut. I'm gonna use the No Paint Gel Stain and Walnut, and I'm going to use my Dixie Belle application pad. This is oil-based, so I need to let this sit and dry for a few days before I put any top coat on it, but I'm gonna put this on there, I'm gonna allow it to dry, and that way I'm gonna paint it afterwards so I can tape off the edges and it'll actually stick because it'll be dry. So I have finished the top and it's dried, so I taped off the top right here. I'm going to remove the hardware, I'm gonna clean it really well, and I'm going to start painting the frame of this piece in the Navy by Dixie Belle. So we're gonna paint the frame first, then we're going to paint the drawers.
I've been dreaming all night, bringing me some inspiration. Never meant to love no one, but baby, I saw you for a second and I'm happy that you came my way. Don't wanna waste no time without you ever brightening up my days. Never meant to fall so hard.
So I have 2 coats of In the Navy on this and it's dry. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how to blend into a dry base coat. So I've got a few colors here and we're just gonna play around together. I have some Bunker Hill Blue. I have Cobalt. And I pulled out some Peacock, just in case we wanted to add a little bit more dimension. I also have my In the Navy. And we're gonna go ahead and blend these. Okay, I'm gonna pull this drawer out just a little bit so I can just work on it, because this is all we're gonna blend. So again, this is dry. So I'm showing you how to blend into a dry base coat. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my Cobalt and I'm gonna kind of put it in the center. This is kind of up to you as far as where you want these colors. So I'm gonna do it in the center. I think I'm gonna put some on the outside. I am using my Dixie Belle synthetic brushes, but when you're placing this paint, you probably could just use a cheap chip brush. It's the blending part that needs a nicer brush. I am going to add a little bit of Peacock, just randomly. Okay, and then I'm gonna take my Bunker Hill Blue and I'm going to place that as well in these other areas. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to mist this with my mister bottle. We're going to take this paintbrush, which is a neutral brush, and I'm gonna go around in circles, and we are going to blend these colors together. Remember, we're using a circular motion here. This is gonna just add some cool depth to this drawer. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to mist this and I'm going to go across the entire thing just to kind of smooth this blend out. You can go vertical. Go horizontal right here if you need to do a little bit more circles. Now I'm going to go vertical. Diagonal. Okay, so if you feel like you want to add a little bit more, let's say Peacock, we're going to take our Peacock brush and I'm going to dab it right here. Okay, I'm going to take that neutral brush and I'm just going to kind of blend it into there. And you see how it blends into there? Now, the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over this with In the Navy. So I'm gonna go over this with In the Navy so that we can kind of smooth everything out and darken it just slightly. So I'm going to dab it and take a little bit of my In the Navy and just go over these colors just to kind of deepen them. Smooth it, add that dimension, that dark dimension on there. And right now this is wet, but once it dries, these colors will deepen. So you're just lightly going over this with that in the navy. I'm gonna miss that part. Do just a little bit more down here. Vertical. Okay, so I'm gonna let this sit and we will come back once it's dry and kind of see what it looks like. I'm gonna push this in just so we can kind of compare it. So we do have some more blue in here, and that's compared to just the in the navy. So we'll come back and kind of look at it and see what it looks like once it's dry. Sometimes it's really hard to show you what things look like when they're on camera because they look so much different, but it's much lighter here. And it's lighter here, but then it's dark throughout. So it's kind of like a blended, I want to say like a mottled blend on here. And so what I'll do next is I'm going to blend the same exact way that we just did with this drawer. I'm gonna blend this drawer. I'm gonna blend this drawer. I'll blend this one down here, and then I'll blend the sides, and I'll kind of videotape it so that you can see what it looks like. And then we're gonna add some gold and a transfer, and we'll go over that as well. I finished blending this piece all in the front and the sides, and so you can kind of see a little bit of the blending right here. It's very, very subtle. But I am going to put Decor transfers on here. I cut this Decor transfer to where I wanted it, and it still has the plastic on it. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to pull the plastic, oops, I'm gonna pull the plastic from the sheeting right here. And this is sticky, so you wanna make sure that it goes where you want it to be before you put it down. So I'm going to set it right here because I want it to just be on the side of this piece. And I'm gonna push it down with my hand. And this is a little bit longer, so I'm actually gonna flip it around. Not a big deal. And like I said, I push it down with my hand. I have the Redesign transfer tool, but these transfers come with a wooden burnishing stick. So you can either use this or you can use this Redesign with Primo transfer tool. So what you do is you burnish or rub this down. So you want to make sure you burnish or rub this down really well first. There's two sides to this, so what I do is I like to use the smaller one when there's leaves, so I can kind of go up here at an angle. And you want to wait about 24 hours before you put a transfer on to allow the paint to dry really well. Okay. So I'm gonna pull it from right here. I'm gonna get close. And sometimes what happens is an air bubble will form. So you'll get this right here and it'll be an air bubble. And what you wanna do is kind of work that to your advantage. So peel this up, and since there's an air bubble right here, we're gonna kind of just push it down. And I like to work the transfer while I'm pulling this off as well. So you can see I'm working the transfer, and while I'm pulling it back, I'm still working it. Now, I want to show you something. So let's say that this piece right here, okay, so let's say this piece right here pulls up, okay? Put that plastic back down, take your burnishing stick and just burnish it down. No big deal. And then it should be stuck to your surface. So you can pull it, again, like that one came up, So burnish it and just carefully pull it down. And that is how you do the decor transfers on here. So when they have like little flowers and vines coming off of them, they're a little bit more finicky, so you want to be careful. But when it's a full sheet of like flowers up here, it'll be a little bit easier because there's not as many working parts or cutouts. So again, I just kind of work my way, work with it, and it comes off. So I'm going to do that on the rest of the transfer, and then I will show you how I burnish it even more. Now that this decor transfer has been transferred, as you can see, there's kind of a halo around the transfer. I want to show you that I burnish this also again, besides just the burnishing tool. So I take a really soft cloth, okay, and I go each individually and I rub the edges. And as you can see, it gets rid of that halo. And this also ensures that it's burnished, because if you try to seal this and there's any air bubbles in it, it could cause problems with peeling. So I take my rag and I go around the edges of the entire thing with pretty moderate pressure. So we're using pretty moderate pressure on here. And I also, after I'm done, sometimes, so if you can see up here, so I want to show you something really important. If you can see this and you can see like the paint underneath, but then you see this and it's white, this is why it's also really important to burnish it, so that you can ensure it is completely down. Do you see how it darkened up? That's because there was a bunch of air underneath. So you want to go over the entire thing. And I go over it in a circular motion as well. One last step before I put any kind of sealer on here is I take a super fine rad pad or super fine sandpaper, and I go over it one more time after I've burnished it with the fine rag. So I just take it and I rub over the entire transfer. And don't worry about it lightening up your paint, because we're going to seal it anyways. Once you put a sealer on this, it's going to darken the paint back up. This really ensures that there is no air bubbles. This isn't going to distress my transfer or the paint. So if you want to distress it, then you'd get a higher grit sandpaper. I'm a huge fan of Easy Peasy spray wax, and so the next step will be for me to wipe this down a little bit, get any excess dust off, and then I take my Easy Peasy spray wax and I just spray right on. I'm going to spray right on top, spray the area, and I'm going to take my rag and I'm going to just rub it in. And not only has it re-darkened our paint, but now we are sealing our paint and our transfer. I'm going to do that on the entire piece. All right, everybody, so this piece is done. We did the blending of the blues. We added a decor transfer. We did some waxing. We did some gilding wax. And so it is finished. And so this is what it looks like. We've got the side, and we've got this part, and there's a transfer on the other side, and I'm gonna show you the pictures here in a couple minutes. So if you guys are not subscribed, please subscribe and hit that bell so you get all the latest videos that I put up. Also remember, everything that we use is in the description below. You can just click on those links and purchase it right through there. So thank you guys so much for watching, and happy creating. See you next time.